I know I've been away from my camera from a little while. I'm sorry, guys. It's been a little busy with some stuff. But I still got lots of material for you guys, so I'm glad that you guys are sticking around. For those of you who know me, and I greatly appreciate it. So let's get down to it, everybody. Let's talk blades. That's what we're into today. Got for you guys. Yes, indeed. Another DAGGERR knife. I got mixed feelings about. Okay. Before I really get into it, you know me. I don't go off a script. All right, I go off of whatever it just comes to me, and I do that for two reasons. One, it's more real. Two, doing a script I tend to mess up a lot and I get frustrated. So doing it like this just seems a little bit more natural. It comes to me and it just feels a little bit more better. It's not even really a term, more better. It's either more or better. Right? Anyways, you guys know I like DAGGERR knives. The few models that you have seen on my channel, what is it? The Vendetta. I know that's a really big one. It's kind of like this one. The Vendetta, the Ronin. These are all great knives. This one's the Parrot. Why do they call it a Parrot? Not entirely sure, but I mean, in some aspects, maybe it kind of does from the side look like a bird that's standing with it. I don't know. Anyways, I gotta tell you, this is probably the first DAGGERR knife that I am not 100% happy with. I like it, don't get me wrong. I love the idea of a certain mechanism on this that I'm gonna get into. Obviously, I'll get into the specs of this knife and everything else. That's this fellow right here. I'm going to tell you why I like it and don't like it at the same time. But, you know, it comes in this standard magnetized kind of box case, rectangle thing, whatever you want to call it. It's wrapped in plastic. Mine came drenched in oil. So that was kind of already a bad sign right there. Well, then again, you know, maybe it's not really a bad sign. I just don't like it when my knives are drenched in so much oil that I have to take a rag to it and just wipe it down. At the same time, I understand why they do it. They want to make sure that the knife is, you know, protected and it does everything it needs to do when it gets to the buyer. So I understand that completely. Fantastic knife. I love the button closure lock right here. I really do. It's very fidget friendly. This knife is really huge. Forgive me. I'm going to try and keep it in frame the best that I can. You got really wide, in my opinion, they're decently wide handle scales here. So you got your G10, and it's machined pretty well. It's not too aggressive. Love that deep carry pocket clip right there, that screaming skull. You got the lanyard for you lanyard people. You got that lanyard hole. You got a glass breaker at the end, but in order for you to swap it, and it's only tip-up carry, for you to swap it to the other side, you would have to take this screw out and remove this glass breaker in order to flip it. And then, of course, you also have, if you can see it, right in there, right where I'm pointing, you got that little protection plate. So you got to remove that plate and then put it on the opposite end. You know, you got to do all that. If you don't mind doing that, to switch it around, I mean, they did it. They executed it pretty well. Excuse me. Damn. The button closure, I want to say, is really, it sticks out a hefty amount. But that's good, though. You know, you need to be able to get to it. It runs on washers. Excuse me. Ball bearings. I was doing another knife video, and yeah, I'm still kind of leaning off of that. It runs on ball bearings. It's very smooth. When I got mine, the blade was it had a little bit of blade play. I had to tighten the pivot a little bit, but I mean, it's not that bad. It's really not that bad. There's a bit of weight relieving in there. You can kind of see it, but there's holes drilled in there. You can kind of see it a little bit better. See them? The reflection of my finger right there. There's some weight relieving, so it does make a considerable difference in the weight of this knife. So it's fine. The saber grip here, that Filipino grip, whatever you want to call it, it does feel really good. You got the DAGGERR stamp right there. and you flip it around on the back, it has 722. I think that's the month and year. And then you got D2 steel. So this is hella sharp. This is really, really sharp. I know because I had it close on my finger. You can see that line right there. It actually closed down on my finger one day when I was testing out the pin. Because you get this little pin that goes in here. You unscrew it, and you actually screw it in this hole when the knife is open, turning it into a fixed blade. It locks it in place so that way when you try to disengage the lock, the knife stays locked open. So that's a great feature, but I don't know if there's something wrong with mine. I'm not entirely sure if they screwed up or maybe, I don't know. It just seems it's kind of an inconvenience to me. The reason why I have it separate from the knife, simply put, is because I'm not going to use this feature on this knife. I think the knife is fantastic the way that it is. Having this feature is a plus, but if I need a fixed blade, I'm just going to use a fixed blade. I'm not going to use a folding knife to do it. But that's just my personal opinion. I do like that they added that, but I kind of feel it's a little bit unnecessary. For the length of the knife, obviously, having this as a fixed blade is kind of cool. I think I've seen some... I don't know where I saw it, but I think I saw it on a forum somewhere, or just some pictures of this knife being used as a fixed blade, and it had its own sheath, like a Kydex kind of thing, and it looked really nice. It had paracord on it. I thought it was really neat. And I was thinking, man, that knife should be really strong in the open position. Well, I'm going to show you guys something, and hopefully it'll do it on camera. I really don't know. It's half of the reason why I got cut by the blade was because I was testing to see how strong the pin would be in there, and it kind of failed on me. And not once, but 3 times. So I don't know if the threading is messed up. I don't know if the pin was cut too short. I'm not entirely sure, but first I want to show you what it looks like inside the handle in its resting spot. So normally you'll get it right here. And now I've heard that the first version, I shouldn't say heard, I've seen videos of the first version. I think this is the second version. The first version is kind of like cut to look like another screw in your handle. With that being said, I think it's a little bit more secure being that way because at least you won't have a chance of losing it. You would have to intentionally unscrew it in order to screw it back in another spot to make it into a fixed blade. One thing that makes me nervous about this is that here it is. This is how it's going to come to you with the pin inside of the handle. For me, I thought that was really weird. 2 things, maybe 3 things bad that happened to me. The first thing that happened was this thing keeps spinning. And that's bad for a really good reason is you have a likelihood of losing the screw. Of course, there's going to be someone in the comment section saying, well, why don't you just put some Loctite in there? I know. I've considered that. But the thing is that this ring right here, if you can see it, it has an open end right there. I actually had to close that myself with pliers. Now, that's not a huge deal for me. I'm not saying that's a deal breaker, but it did get caught in my pocket a few times in the fabric of my pocket with that ring being open. So that was kind of a deal breaker for me to even have this in the knife at all. With that being said, this ring, you can't really tighten it too much. Otherwise, you'll bend out the ring when you're trying to screw it in or screw it out in a nice, firm fashion without over-screwing it. I don't know. It turns this into a little bit of a pointless accessory, in my personal opinion. Snags in the pocket. It spins. Obviously, it'll change position every now and again, which in turn you could end up losing this pin if you're not careful. And on top of that, that kind of kills this for me is it's open. It's locked open. I'm going to put the pin in the spot right here, and I'm going to tighten it the best that I can without over tightening it. But say I want to turn this into a fixed blade, trying to get it to thread. See, I'm having this issue here. I got to kind of push in. Okay, here it goes. Now it becomes a little bit more difficult to screw in place, which kind of bothers me just a little bit. But as I'm screwing it in, I'm feeling it's getting tighter and tighter. But I'm also bending this ring at the same time, which in turn is going to open the ring up. Now, I'm trying to get it to where it's thumb tight. Because there are times when you can see that, right? That's a little bit too much pressure. If I don't do it tight enough, it won't be strong. But if I do it too tight, then I can't get it loose. I'd have to get like, something else, like a tool of some kind to help me loosen it up. So it turns it into a fixed blade, which is great. Okay, so you hear that? Now, as I was doing this, I had my finger in the way. And as I was doing that, okay, it's not doing it now, but there'd be times when this, yeah, see, now it's loose. It's like not safe. Right about there. See how easy it came out? It only took 2 half turns and this thing came right out. It actually came out and then it closed on my finger. So, and that's how I got this mark on my finger. Yeah, it was bleeding. It kind of sucked, but I was a little surprised. So I tried to re-screw it back in. I tried to maybe think to myself, well, maybe I did it wrong. Tried to do it again, and same results. You'd have to tighten it really, really tight to where you can't get it out. You have to use something else, and that kind of hinders the use of this little ring right here. Or you can snap the ring off by accident and lose it, and you kind of can't use this at all. So it seems kind of pointless. I would have gone with this being just a little bit longer, or the threading being a little bit better, or even just having it in the screw fashion, so that way if I don't need to use it, at least I won't lose it, and it'll just be in the handle. But nonetheless, it didn't do it on camera, and I'm glad that I didn't cut myself on camera, because when that happened, I had it opened and I was trying to test it. Not only does it rattle, which that kind of bothers me. It should be nice and tight. There shouldn't be any play at all. But it had a little bit of a rattle, and it loosened the pin up, and the pin fell out, and the knife fell and cut me on my finger, and I was like, man, that sucks. So I kind of sat there as I was bleeding. I was just like, well, damn it. So I got up, cleaned it up, threw a Band-Aid on. And, when you cut your fingers don't freaking stop bleeding. It just keeps going. So I made the decision to just take this pin out and set it to the side, because I don't think this is a feature I'm ever going to use on this knife in particular. It doesn't mean that I don't like the knife. I really do like the idea, but this kind of function for this knife seems a little bit useless to me, especially when it's not working as well as I thought it would. Do I need to reach out to DAGGERR? No. Do I feel like I need a new knife or a replacement? No. I'm really happy with it for what it is. In the past, you guys have seen the video of DAGGERR knives reaching out to me and sending me free stuff. I think they're a great company. I really do. Whatever they come out with is just phenomenal. Everything that they do is fantastic. So I have nothing against them. I think they're a great company, and they have a ton of potential to grow as a great company, especially being based out of the United States into Russia. So I think that's really, really cool. Now this knife isn't cheap. When you go to Blade HQ, at least, the price tag on this guy is $99. So add that plus tax and shipping, you're looking at something a little over $100. With that being said, this is a 4.75 inch blade. I'm going to go ahead and get into the specs real quick for you guys. It is a pretty big boy kind of knife. Actually, I'll get into the weight first, then I'll get into the size. All right. So you're looking at a hefty 6.55 ounces. This is kind of heavy knife. For its size and its build, I guess I kind of understand why. Not bad. Not great. I would have liked it around about the 5 ounce mark, but it's still a folding spear in your pocket. I mean, where can you go wrong, right? So damn near about 5 inches. But the cutting edge, yeah, it's a little bit over 4, so 4 1/4. 4 3/4 of actual blade reach, but from where you would hold it without choking up is about 5 inches of actual reach, with a total of a little over 10 inches, including the glass breaker, 10 3/4. It's a big boy knife. Get the calipers out so that way you guys can see how wide and thick things are, because I know someone out there is going to be interested in that. On the blade, you're looking at a 0.14. On the handle, you're looking at a chunky 0.56. Not really a thin knife in the pocket, but, I mean, it does what it's got to do. It's big, it's scary, it's pointy, it's hella sharp. Where can you go wrong with this thing, right? The fidget factor on this thing is really interesting. I've caught myself playing with it a lot, and you just got to make sure that your fingers are out of the way of the blade's path when you close it. It's a fun, fidgety knife. It really is. And with the deep carry pocket clip, it makes it to where it disappears in your pocket entirely. I mean, there's nothing sticking out. You see that? I mean, that loop over pocket clip really does make the knife disappear, and all you see is just the pocket clip and the glass breaker on there, which is kind of pointy. I gotta tell you, man, I really do like this knife. This being a kind of a downer for me, it doesn't really bother me too much. I'm not going to use this feature on the knife anyway, but it doesn't make it a bad knife. If you're looking for a knife that has that kind of feature, would I suggest you getting this knife? Yes. Yes, I would. I would 100%. I just, like I said, I'm not going to use this feature of the knife at all. I just don't see it. You know, if I'm going to need my folding knife into a fixed blade, then why not just carry a fixed? You know, that's just me and my logic. Some people, you know, it's like, well, what if this is the only knife you want or only knife that you can use or have? Then you're going to need that extra option if you need it. Okay, yeah, I can understand that. I can, you know, see that as a possibility. But for me, I don't want to lose that part. You know, I want to be able to keep its original parts, so I'm going to keep it off to the side so I don't lose it. I'm not going to use it, you know, so it's just best that way. At least for me anyway. I would have liked the screw-on one where you actually have to use a tool. That's just more secure for me, because if I need to, at least I have that option, but I don't have to worry about losing it, you know. That's just me. One thing that really sets aside from other flippers is that this one's all the way to the top, so you gotta choke up after you pull it out your pocket and then do a very confident light switch on this thing in order for it to pop open. You want to hold it in this configuration. If you hold it in hammer grip, you're going to have to choke down on the handle to do so. Otherwise, you're going to hit that button, and you don't want to do that in a stressful situation if you're using this for self-defense, because this is kind of what this knife is designed for. At least in my opinion, it's a tactical blade. So it's a very interesting thing. It really is, and I'm glad to have it in my collection. That was just kind of like a little slight disappointment to me, but, I mean, it doesn't make it or break it, in my opinion. It's just an extra feature, and one that I'm probably never going to use anyway. So, still, really cool idea. I love the idea of the knife. I love the feel of it. The ergos are fantastic. If you want to choke up, you can do that, too. This is very stabby. I mean, when one of my friends saw it, he was like, wow, man, that thing's like a folding spear. And I'm like, yeah, it is. He just got excited. He was like, man, that looks really nice. And I'm going, yeah, I do. I like it. I like it a lot, you know. The jimping on here isn't too aggressive. It just feels nice. Overall, they executed this knife really well. And that's nothing to expect the least of out of DAGGERR. I think DAGGERR Knives does it really well. Would I have gone with a different approach with this? I probably would. If you guys are going to put a ring on it, at least close the ring somehow. You know, I don't know if you guys weld the ring shut. That would probably work. Or if you're going to put a ring on there, make sure it's a little bit thicker than this little piece of metal. Or just put a little notch in there, so that way if the ring gets lost, at least they're still able to, you know, unscrew it or screw it in tighter if they need to not, you know, feel the fear of losing it, I guess. But it's still really cool. It's a feature of the knife that I don't really think is necessary in my personal opinion, but I like the idea and the option that it's there. So really cool stuff. I like my DAGGERR knives. What can I say? It's not bad. Anyways, at its price point, if you like big knives, this is one to consider. If you don't mind spending 99 bones to a little bit over 100, this isn't a bad knife to have in your collection at the very least. I don't know. There really isn't too much else I can say about this knife that I can really It feels really decent, a carry-around knife. It really does. But it is a bit long, so keep that in mind. Anyways, go ahead and slash that like button, stab that subscribe, slice that bell icon so you guys are notified anytime I post new stuff in these craziest of times. Everybody, please be kind, be safe, and carry responsibly. And I'll see you all in the next video. Excuse me.